Why not?
Welcome back to another instant reaction kind of edition of the Night Report podcast. I'm your co-host, Mike Broadbent. Joining me is my co-host, Richie Schneiderite. Richie, yesterday, man, wild night to be a Scarlet Knights fan. We got the commitment from Eric Rogers. We thought we had that podcast all settled. Then, boom, another commitment, this time on the basketball side. Jamichael Davis. He is a class of 2023 recruit out of McEachern High School in Georgia. He is a shooting guard. We saw him, or he got an offer this summer from Rutgers, along with a few others like Auburn and VCU. Tell us a little bit about what Rutgers is getting in this kid.
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, actually, like what you just said, we were sitting there. Well, I was sitting there. I was getting ready to eat dinner. Commitment. I was like, all right, I got the Rogers thing done. We're good. Don't even worry about it. Then I get up, going to eat again, and I'm like, are you kidding me? There's another commitment. I gotta get back up. Oh my god, I gotta rewrite this and this and this. Yep. And I'm like, all right. But anyway, he seems like at first glance, I know everyone was freaking out because he had like 2 offers on his profile. He had no stars. He didn't even have a picture, and everyone sees that and they're like, oh my god, under the radar kid. At this point, can we just trust Pike? I mean, look at Woolfolk. That's a prime example of like Pike knowing talent. Yeah, just I mean, and if you watch his tape, he's pretty good. He's quick. He can create his own shot, create some space. He's very quick with dribble moves and stuff like that. He's got a pretty unique blend of being a facilitator slash scorer. Like he can drive at the rim. He's not afraid of contact down low. He's got a nice little touch when he gets pretty close to the rim on layups. There's one highlight that we posted on our Instagram of a recent game that he played against. It's called Grovetown, I believe. And some of his lay-ins, like they're like little touches from like 3 feet, 4 feet out, but these guys are swatting at it every time, and he just gets it off just perfectly clean within like a second or two early of where the block was going to hit. But he's actually a really good player in my opinion. And he last year he played at Lakeview Fort Oglethorpe, I think it's called, high school. So I don't really know much about that school, but the one he transferred to is a powerhouse down in Georgia.
Yep.
Features several big name guys, several top 150 guys. One kid's ranked top 10, I think, in his class, and Ace Bailey, who's his teammate and a Rutgers target. I know people are like, yeah, Rutgers 5-star, it ain't going to happen. But I'm telling you right now, there's some unique connections there that we'll get into in a little bit that Rutgers has a legitimate shot with him. And overall, this is just a really good get. I know our guy, Zach Smart, just posted an article on him. He praised him for his IQ, compared him to Geo Baker. Really great vision, and I can't say that enough because he has a great ability to see the floor. If you see him in transition, he makes some crazy passes in that highlight tape that I'll try to share in the link below or something.
Yeah, he's a great finisher around the hoop too. Like I know that's if you've watched any Rutgers games this season, you know that Rutgers struggles inside 3 feet. So he's got a few highlights on his tape where he's just contorting himself. He's not the biggest guy. He's only about 6'2", but he's scooping his way around defenders. I do like his game as well. And that, like you mentioned, the AAU team he plays on and the high school team he plays on are both loaded with talent. There's a top 20 kid in the 2025 class on McEachern as well. So this, obviously, you don't take a kid just because of his connections to his teammates or his friends. But I was talking to you about this. It is kind of something that you think about as a tiebreaker. Like if you like 2 guards equally, but one is a teammate of a top 5 player who's showing interest in you as well, and the other is playing on a team in the middle of a cornfield in Iowa, you probably take the kid who's playing with the 5-star player. So this kind of also came out of nowhere. He was on campus this past weekend, right, for the Seton Hall game. Yep. Was that an official or unofficial?
Unofficial from what I can tell, but it's actually interesting too, and I wanted to mention it before. So if you look at Pike's last 2 point guards, they're completely different from his other point guards that he's recruited. Like Paul Mulcahy's 6'6", 6'7". Gio was probably a legitimate 6'4", maybe 6'5" at times, like if you put shoes on him. But these 2 kids, in Jamichael Davis and Simpson, are like 6 foot, 6'1". This kid's 6'2" listed technically, but I don't know if he's really that. But it's a lot smaller guards and a little bit more crafty guards too, which I kind of like. And it kind of shows what Pike's trying to do, because if you've watched this team over the past couple games, they lack speed. Paul Mulcahy, while a great distributor, is not going to be running up the court as fast as Jamichael Davis will, or as fast as Derek Simpson has been. And I think you just need more speed on the guards, and that's going to help to create open looks for guys like Gavin Griffiths, for guys like Cam Spencer next year, for Derek Simpson, whoever else is a good shooter, Andre Hyatt, who who's a pretty good shooter at times too. So, I mean, you need more craftiness, you need more speed, and you need guys that can create space at the end of the day. And that's what Davis can do. You see it on his tape. There's a couple crossover moves that that defender's getting pushed back like a couple feet. And it's like,
yeah.
I know the biggest question mark about him was his outside shooting, but there's a couple highlights that it looks like he's definitely improved in that regard. And as long as he can kind of improve his outside shooting, there's no reason why this isn't going to be like a steal for Pike. And it just goes to show you at this point, if you're a Rutgers fan, Rutgers hoops, stop with the fire Pike shit.
Yep.
And just literally just trust the guy. He knows what talent is. He sees talent in some of these guys. He can develop them. Maybe you'll strike out once in a while with like a Palmquist or someone else, but this is going to be a really good point guard for Rutgers. And he has an ability to score, maybe not shooting wise, but he can get to the rim and score at will.
Yeah, I mean, there isn't going to be a single coach on the planet who doesn't miss with the recruiting stuff, miss with the signing. So I think it's unfair to, point at any of his misses and not also give him credit for all the hits. I think at this point he's got a higher hit rate than miss rate.
Oh yeah.
And it's quick. It's funny how quickly we, hear people praising Woolfolk, but they're also bashing him for taking Woolfolk at the same time. So I get the frustration with some coaches at Rutgers taking what we see as reaches, but I think Pike has earned the enough credibility to just let a kid come on campus, see what he looks like after a year before you really judge Pike for taking a kid. So that's kind of where I'm at with this one. I do think if Pike sees something in him, willing to give him a scholarship, he's good enough for me. I did like a lot what I saw on tape of him, but he does play with a lot of really high-end teammates, and I kind of want to talk about that next. I always thought Ace Bailey was a bit of a pipe dream. Like, he was coming up, though, so he did visit in June, he did visit in September. So it's kind of like, okay, this kid might be interested. Okay, this kid actually might be taking Rutgers seriously. Now, I texted you this. I'm like, does Pike feel better about landing Ace Bailey than we previously thought? And I think he probably does.
Yeah. I mean, you're spot on with that one. So now that's where the unique connection goes. I know everyone's like, Georgia, why the hell's a Georgia kid going to Rutgers? Like, between Jamichael Davis, between Ace Bailey. So the AAU program that is down there, it's Athletes of Tomorrow, it's called. It's ran by Sharif Cooper's dad, Omar Cooper. Long story short, let's put this as short as possible. Sharif Cooper was a top 22 prospect in the country. His dad's a Newark native. Sharif's a Newark native. They went down to Georgia to play their high school ball. But Omar Cooper, Sharif's dad, his sister is related to Brandon Knight. I don't know if it's sister-in-law or something like that. I forget what the exact family connection is. They're somehow related. And Brandon Knight's very close with Omar Cooper. They're very tight. And we've heard time and time again with Airious Bailey or Ace Bailey, whatever you want to call him, that there's a really good chance of Rutgers could land him. Now, I'm not going to say it's a lock by any means, because it did sound like Auburn was in front for the longest time, and that's where Sharif Cooper ended up going to college. Yep. Obviously, there's a tight connection there between Cooper and the Auburn staff, but Cooper's very close with Brandon Knight, and we've heard like all summer long that Rutgers is like maybe a number 2 right there. Mm-hmm. Now it's going to be tough because it is Auburn. It's a lot closer to Georgia, obviously, than Rutgers would be in New Jersey. So it would be able to go, or Ace Bailey would be able to stay a little bit closer to home, but it sounds like Brandon Knight he's earning that $700,000 and more. I don't want to say like he needs another extension because I don't know how much money they got there for assistant coaching salaries, but let's just say this man has earned that contract extension and more. He helped get Oscar Palmquist on this lockdown. Oscar Palmquist, geez. He helped get Gavin Griffiths locked in. He's helped get Airious Bailey on campus a bunch of times. He's pushing for Dylan Harper. I hate to keep hyping it up, but this 2024 class could be legendary for Rutgers. It could be insane. Even if you land one, like it could be insane. Like a top 10 kid. Number 10 is Dylan Harper. Number 5 is Ace Bailey. Like it could be an absolutely insane class. And there's so many connections that Knight has throughout the country, not just the New Jersey area. He's got the Pittsburgh area because he's a Pittsburgh Hall of Famer. Then he's got connections down there in Georgia, obviously, with Omar Cooper. This could be a potentially legendary class for Rutgers, and they're doing a really, really good job with Ace Bailey. And I wouldn't shock me to see him get on campus again relatively soon, because they want these guys in the rack to hear this atmosphere and see what it's about.
Yeah, and don't kill me for this, but we've talked about the rack renovations, right, and how they're probably a year or two away. Can you imagine if Pike lands a Dylan Harper and an Ace Bailey in the same class, and that's the year that we're doing rack renovations, and so they don't even get to play at the rack?
And don't say
listen, I want to put the kibosh on that idea, period, because that would just be the ultimate like Rutgers thing to happen, right? You get the best recruiting class in program history, probably won't ever top that, and then you don't actually get to play with the biggest home court advantage in college basketball. So let's just
they get the prep for the league. They'll be already in like a kind of NBA arena. It's like
let's just hope that Pike has enough clout to maybe push that back if that's the case. I doubt it, but we'll see.
No, they'll find a way to make sure that rack is there for the one and dones with Ace Bailey and maybe Harper. They might both be one and dones at this point. Like who would have thought we'd be talking about Rutgers and one and dones?
I mean, just kind of goes to show how much has changed the Rutgers basketball the last 5 to 10 years.
Absolutely insane.
So let's pivot to some football talk. So Rutgers obviously hosted a bunch of visitors this past weekend, both high school and transfer level. Seems like there wasn't a whole lot of reporting about some of the kids who were on campus. From Parrish Shand, we recorded yesterday's pod midday before you got confirmation that he was actually on campus. You had a bunch of pictures of the student section. You're like,
I think that's him. I'm not sure.
You didn't want to like go with information that you weren't 100% on.
Yeah.
And then today, news broke that another big time transfer was on campus this past weekend. Maybe not the whole weekend, but at least yesterday. That's Devontae Walker, who is at Kent State. He won. Sorry, he was the MAC wide receiver of the year. He was first team All MAC this year. He had like over 900 yards and 11 touchdowns this past season. Dude's just a baller. I mean, I'm honestly a little bit surprised he was visiting Rutgers, given the amount of options he probably has. Tell us a little bit about this kid.
So Devontae Walker, he's a tall, lengthy wide receiver, 6'3", 175. It's kind of like that Sean Ryan type build. Maybe an inch shorter, but it's whatever. Like an inch doesn't really matter unless it's in your love life, but that doesn't matter.
I was going to say that's what she said, or not what she said. Yeah.
No, he's a really good kid. He's probably the better of the two receivers in the portal from Kent State. Dante Cephas is the other one, a little shorter, a little faster, less yards this year. But Walker, 7 receptions for 106 yards and a touchdown this year in one game in particular. That was against Georgia. Number one team in the fucking country that no one can score on, no one can stop. They're going to win it all. Bet the house on that one, on that Bet Online preview that we had before. But he's really good. He had 7 for 106 against the Georgia defense. That's against Fran Brown's secondary, man. Yep. Fran Brown ain't shit compared to this guy. Sorry, Fran, if you're listening. I love you still. But what do you call it? No,
please come back.
This kid, Jesus. This kid has 2 years of eligibility left. I know there's some reports out there that he has more. No, that's not true. He played like 9 games in 2021. Played all season this year. He's a really good player. If they can land him, it'd be impressive, especially the fact that you probably don't have an OC currently. I say probably because, if they're hiding secret visitors, then they're hiding a secret OC that no one knows about too. But this kid's had multiple 100-yard games against Georgia, against Miami, Ohio, Eastern Michigan. Obviously, it's not the best comp in the world. Ohio, who I think won the MAC this year, he had 107 yards against them. He's putting up crazy numbers. But yeah, I mean, this would be a hell of a get. Now it's going to be tough because number one, you don't have an OC. Yep. Number two, I don't know I'm trying to figure out the connection to him and the staff. It doesn't make any sense to me, and I can't find anything at all whatsoever. But overall, this would be like a grab and a half. Like this is a stud. Like this is the home run hit that you need for Rutgers, and you could sell playing time. You could be like, hey, you're wide receiver 1 automatically. Mm-hmm. But end of the day, I hate to say it, some of these kids see this offense and they're like, oh shit, like I could be wide receiver 1, but am I going to get the ball to me?
Yep.
So it's a tough one.
Yeah, and it's tough too because like our offense is kind of like a chicken or the egg situation. Is it, we're calling all these bad plays? Is that the primary reason why the offense wasn't working, or is it because we also had players who weren't able to do what the offense wanted them to do. So it's if you get players, does that automatically make you a good offense? Probably not. If you get a good OC without great players, does that make you have an automatically good offense? Probably not. You probably need a mix of both. So maybe that's what they're selling. We're going to bring in this high-powered offense, the dual threat quarterback, and we just are looking for the right guy. We make sure we get this job perfect. We make sure we get the right guy in place, but we need players. So be your wide receiver one.
It's interesting because I'm trying to figure out what happened at North Carolina Central, because he went there 2020, didn't play obviously, and then all of a sudden transferred up, and it's like, whoa, wait, what the fuck just happened here? You don't see that all too often.
No, you don't.
And it's not like a coordinator left or anything. His OC down at NCCU is still there, and Matt Leone. I thought that might be a lead somewhere. I did look into that one. It doesn't look like he's a candidate for what it's worth to be. Now I say that, and then we'll watch what happens. He's going to get the job, but right. I don't think he's a legitimate candidate for the job. But I'm trying to find out any type of connection. The only one that has a sort of connection would be the Kent State D-line coach, and that's Colin Farrell. He's a Jersey guy. But Rutgers has a D-line coach, so it makes no sense there unless he just kind of said hey, this kid entered the portal. If you guys want to take a look at him, they all back channel. They all help each other once in a while. So it wouldn't shock me there, but I'm just trying to figure out what the connection is. It seems like he might have just visited on a whim, or maybe Rutgers just put in the effort. Maybe they put in the work.
Yeah,
gotta give him credit though for getting him on campus. This was a huge visit, and then a couple more visits too. Obviously, between Parashan, I'm sure someone else is going to leak out within the next day, and it's going to be like, oh, that guy visited this weekend too, and it's like, all right, cool. We're just gonna let all these kids secretive visits. I love it though. Shiano somehow has managed to still be secretive in the social media era, and it's just that's unheard of. I'm about to start stalking the campus or something like that. I know some crazy shit happens at some other schools. I know OSU, some of the reporters go to last year when Fleming came on a visit, every reporter went to the airport to watch them greet him.
Really?
And it was just dude, you can't pay me enough to go to Newark Airport for fun, or for work even. I'm going in there, I'm getting on the flight, and I'm leaving. I don't want to be there. I hate the airport. It's miserable. The only good thing there is the bar, but even then it's $12 a drink. It's just anyway, enough of that.
So he's the big unknown visitor still. We're trying to get him on the record about how his visit going and what drew him to Rutgers, but this one right at the moment is still very there's a lot of mystery behind this one because can't figure out what the connection is with the staff. He's a very high level player. He's got a lot of offers. So him visiting Rutgers is a huge deal. He could probably he's got enough talent to play at any Power 5 school. Let's just put that out there. So is there something else that we're unaware of at the moment? Who knows? But very big get to get him on campus. Obviously, this upcoming weekend is a visit weekend for the class of 2023 in high school.
Correct.
Are you hearing everyone is going to be there for the most part?
It's all the guys who haven't taken official visits yet. So it's I forget who it was specifically. Dylan Braithwaite hasn't taken one. John Stone hasn't taken one. Jasir Peterson, surprisingly, not surprisingly, hasn't taken one per se. So there's going to be a lot of those guys. Nick Oliveri, who just committed. We had a pod on him. So, I don't even know, a week ago at this point. Three uncommitted or committed elsewhere guys. So I think I said this in the last pod, but Digibril Abdul Rahman, Canadian edge rusher, who I actually really like his tape. I think we got to get him a ranking soon. It's kind of annoying me that we don't have one yet. Chimde Ona, who's committed to Old Dominion, but is getting pushed really, really hard by Nebraska to the point where it's sounding like he might not even sign in December. It might get pushed back. So that's not a good sign in regards for Rutgers and his recruitment if he pushes it back. But obviously they're going to try to push and try to get him signed and try to get him committed or flipped, I should say. So that would be a big one if they can get him on camp or get him locked in. If they can't and he leaves campus without a commitment, I'd probably say wait till Monday to Tuesday because that's kind of when some of those things start to leak out. But if he doesn't end up committing, I would say there's a really good chance that he's probably not going to end up with Rutgers. he is a massive offensive lineman. I think Rutgers would love to get him, obviously. And then Najir Chichiri, he just visited UConn last weekend for an official. Sounds like he really liked it there, but he's going to visit Rutgers this weekend. He's a tight end / offensive tackle. They don't really know where they want him yet at, just currently. I think it will really depend on what the outlook of this staff looks like, too. We don't know who's coming back, who's not. I know technically I posted the contracts yesterday, or their end dates, I should say. And it sounds like the only person whose contract technically ends this year, I believe, was where is it? Expiring contracts. I think it's Hoffman, actually, which would be a little shocking because I didn't think he had a bad year whatsoever. I think he worked with whatever he had, not saying that there was much there. And at some point, you have to consider, do you give him a break because of that? Or do you just kind of say, like, hey, you didn't develop much? So I don't know. He's got a lot of young dudes in that room. I think they had 7 freshmen, obviously. So it's hard to say how much development he did in that regard. But he's technically the only one that expires in February from what I can see. The only 2 I haven't gotten back in terms of Oprah requests were Orphy and Shaw, but they both signed last year, and most guys usually sign 2 years under Schiano. So I would assume they have this year and next year, whereas Hoffman's technically expires in February. So something to watch.
Very interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I'd imagine they're waiting for the first big domino to fall, a.k.a. the OC. I think it's pretty obvious at this point we're probably not going to hire Nunzio Campanelli as the OC. He would have done that immediately, or at least within the first couple of days after the season. I think it would be a terrible look to do it at this point, more than 2 weeks after the season's over. Again, we're speculating, but I imagine a lot of the guys Schiano at the top of his list, like we said yesterday, probably turned him down. So I think he's now just trying to figure out, kind of back to the drawing board type list, see, in between visits, because obviously this is the very important visit time too. They're both equally important, but the visits you have to prioritize on the weekends. At least during the week, you probably go all out finding the OC. But
you take in-homes, you do all that other stuff too. Obviously, I think Schiano did an in-home with, who the hell was it this week? Was it Shand? It was someone. I forget who it was. One of the transfer guys, but that's something to monitor too. And then going back to the contract thing, I sent this to you yesterday. I'm going to see if I can pull this up real quick on this screen share thing. So if you don't have, if you're listening on the pod, obviously go to Twitter, go to Nick Oliveri's Twitter. He tweeted out all these letters, right? Like they always send like these crazy letters. Let's see if it pops up. Is it popping up? It's not popping up. There it is. Yep. See all these letters? It's interesting. If you go through all these letters, this is conspiracy Richie talking. All these letters, and you don't see 2 specific names. You see Heatherman, you see all the other recruiting guys. You see Joe Schiano, Munoz, blah blah blah. You see every single what do you call it? Assistant coach. But you don't see? You don't see Hoffman, and you don't see Airious. Why would Hoffman not write a letter to the 2023 O-line commit if he's the O-line coach?
I should have brought my tinfoil out.
Good segment, we're going to have to do that from now on. Tinfoil, get like a little music intro too. But no, hey, I'm just saying, it's something to monitor. I see Harris Simiak on there, right into the O-line commit. I see Heatherman right into an O-line commit. But I don't see a specific someone. I do see Vallone, who helps out with the O-line.
And Phil Guard, too.
And Phil Guard, too. I forgot about him as well. But I don't see Hoffman or Airious. And maybe it's telling, maybe it's not. Who knows?
So I do want to preface this by saying Hoffman was in the crowd with the recruits this past weekend. He's a hard guy to miss in the crowd.
Yeah. But he was there, for what it's worth. But maybe he doesn't like Brighton. Who knows?
Well, that's the one good thing about a lot of our coaches is they have a lot of distinctive looks. Like Joe Harris-Simiak, you're not going to miss him in a crowd, given the beard size and the bald head. Watson's, just a huge guy in general. Heatherman just has that's he's got a very distinct look, I'll say. Hoffman with the bright white beard. Schiano is just, anytime Schiano's in the room, you know where he is. Just based on the crowd, but the coaches
I will say Hoffman did do an in-home back on the 6th with John Stone, another offensive line commit. But Airious though, I wonder where he's at. I haven't seen him in a while. I didn't see him at the game. He wasn't in the photo.
Yeah,
Unless he was hidden, but he is liking tweets though from like 20 hours ago. So there's that. You never know.
Yeah.
You just never know.
Well, he was Gleason's guy, so obviously he was Gleason's guy, but also Shiano had him as an assist or
a GA or something.
And he also worked with him at Tampa, so
yeah,
there's a connection
something weird like that. So we'll see, but just a little speculation there,
Yeah, I just want something to happen. I'm like staring at like staring at the cage, just tapping it, like do something.
Oh yeah, you just get the little stick, and it's like I'm actually gonna make that a meme. I'm gonna tweet that one out. It's gonna be like, should I make it Shiano get poked by the stick or like the Rutgers logo?
I don't know
and be
if
like,
you'd appreciate that.
Hire
yeah. I'll let you have some artistic freedom with that one, but feel free to steal my material here.
I got you. I'm taking that 100%.
Well, that is kind of. Is there anything else you wanted to kind of go through? I feel like we might be missing something.
Hoops. No, went over that. There's another game on Saturday. That's a pretty big one.
Wake Forest.
Noon versus Wake Forest. Who else? Let me think. Wrestling, big win for wrestling. Lex should have a recap today sometime. I don't know what time. There's a little animosity going on Rutgers Wrestling Twitter. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, Richie Lewis.
Richie Lewis calling out the program quite a bit. Tried comparing himself to Anthony Perotti and Ashnault. And Ashnault agreed with him on Instagram, which was interesting. Where Perotti obviously took the opposite. And then I think, who was it? Sammy Alvarez or someone called him out too on Twitter.
Yeah, I don't get that. From everything I've heard, like
Jackson Turley, I'm sorry.
Yeah, everybody loves Goodale for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, they are struggling a little bit. Like they should have beat Princeton without going by the points. Okay. Without going by the points, I mean, they should have beat them overall. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting, something to monitor. But we'll see. We'll see what happens there. I don't think anything happens of it, but it was just a little interesting. I know all the message boards got a little hyped from it, and people are picking sides. But Goody's the guy, so
yeah.
It's the green. Goody's pretty good, man. I love Goody.
Yep, same. All right, guys. Well, thanks again for tuning in to another episode of the Night Report podcast. For me and Richie, we will see you next time. Signing off.